What kind of supreme power must one possess to make an African chieftain bow down and kiss your shoes? When news of King George VI's death reached London, Princess Elizabeth, far away in Africa, was transformed in that very instant into Queen of the Commonwealth. Caught off guard, she suppressed her grief over her father's death, and under the glare of the global media, composed herself and departed for the airport, embarking on the journey back to the capital. Aboard the plane, her private secretary Martin quietly informed her that upon their return, he would no longer serve as her aide. His role would be taken over by the more senior Tommy. Elizabeth was visibly regretful. From the moment she became queen, she had no choice but to submit to the will of the cabinet, her personal agency, now a thing of the past. Late at night, in a brightly lit room of the palace, the septuagenarian Churchill sat at his desk, penning the king's eulogy. Though he knew that many in parliament doubted him, this Nobel laureate of literature resolved to use his speech to silence all critics. The next morning, the Queen's plane landed at the London airport. The entire cabinet stood ready to receive her. Tommy boarded the aircraft, bringing a black morning dress, as well as a handwritten letter from Queen Mary, the Queen Mother. In it were not only warm condolences from a loving grandmother, but also the solemn wisdom of a woman who had served 3 monarchs. Mary had seen rulers undone by the confusion of personal emotion with sovereign duty. She solemnly warned Elizabeth, do not repeat their mistakes. That letter would become a guiding principle for Elizabeth's entire reign. From the moment she donned the crown, she would conceal her true self, and fully devote herself to the sacred duties of the crown, a living cornerstone of constitutional monarchy. The first change after becoming sovereign was that her husband, Philip, could no longer walk ahead of her. Upon returning to Buckingham Palace, Churchill addressed Parliament with his eulogy. Before her father's peaceful remains, Elizabeth at last broke down in tears. But there was no time for prolonged mourning. She had to collect herself and receive condolences from nobles and citizens alike. From then on, her mother and sister were no longer merely family. They too had to uphold royal decorum, under the supremacy of the crown. Meanwhile, Churchill's eloquent tribute not only mourned the late king, but also powerfully heralded a new era under Elizabeth's rule, predicting a second golden age, one that would rival the reign of Queen Victoria. His stirring oration struck back at all the jeers and sneers of his political foes, and within the palace, a figure of immense stature arrived, Queen Mary, the Queen Mother. When the Queen Mother knelt before the young queen, Elizabeth was visibly moved. That solemn gesture bore profound meaning. To wear the crown is to bear a burden only the extraordinary can endure.